So here's one very frequent question that I'm asked. Can I sell my rental property with the tenants still living there? And the answer is yes, but there's some warnings that you need to be made aware of. And I'd like to offer you some guidance today on this issue because there's advantages and there's disadvantages to selling this way. So my first piece of guidance, a real estate sales transaction is subject to the existing lease agreement. So if you're selling, you're not just selling the property in this case, you're actually selling the lease agreement and the tenant is along for the ride on the sale. So you can't, as a landlord, just say, hey, Mr. Tenant, sorry, I'm selling. And you're going to need to skedaddle and leave now. Guess what? When you sell, the new landlord can't kick the tenant to the curb. So the buyer or the new owner, he's going to need to honor that lease as well. The only exception that I'm aware of on this is if the property's in foreclosure. And there's not a lot of those going on right now. So the new owner must honor all the terms and conditions of the lease agreement. So if you know you're going to sell soon, my advice would be not to encumber the property with any type of long-term lease. This way you're going to leave yourself with more options. All right, guidance point number 2. There are some benefits to selling with the tenants staying in place. Think about it. There's no make-ready cost to get the home ready for sale or re-rent. You can sell it directly to a new investor, and you save money on all those property turnover costs. And these can be substantial. So think about it. Like there's no holding costs. You don't have to pay your mortgage during this time. If you move a tenant out of the property, there's going to be a period of time to get it ready for sale, find a buyer, close the escrow. And during this time, you're going to have other expenses like utilities, insurance, landscaping, property taxes. So, when selling with the tenant in place, one day it's your property, and then poof, next day it's gone. You get the sales proceeds and you get to move on. Now, there's also some downsides to selling with your tenant intact, and that leads me to guidance point number 3. So with the tenant in place, there's fewer buyers out there because you're only appealing to investors, and you're not appealing to folks that want to make it their home because they can't move in right away. There's plenty of investors out there, but it pales in comparison to the number of buyers that are looking to be owner-occupants. So the bottom line is the potential market is smaller when appealing to investors only. Another potential negative is you really need your tenant to cooperate. Let's imagine you're a tenant. The landlord approaches you and he says, hey, Mr. Tenant, I got good news. I'm selling the home, but you get to stay in it. But guess what? You're going to have a new landlord. Mr. Tenant's not going to be thrilled with this. They don't like change. Nobody likes change. So you're going to need to get buy-in and cooperation from the tenant. I can't emphasize that enough. So think about it. There's going to be showings. There's going to be inspections. There's going to be a whole bunch of inconvenience and interruption for this tenant. They're not going to be thrilled, but as always, money can talk. So hopefully you have a good, strong relationship with this tenant, but that relationship's not likely to be enough. You're going to need to, at some level, buy that tenant's cooperation. So I personally found that like a $200 to $250 monthly rent credit to cooperate will usually get the job done. We also tie the credit to having the home in good rent-ready condition for showings. For example, clothes must be off the floor, beds made, dishes put away, a clean kitchen and bathrooms, etc. But without, again, that tenant's full cooperation, you're not likely to have any great success in selling your condo or home. Okay, and lastly, guidance number 4, make sure your lease allows for showings. A good solid lease is going to state that you as a landlord have the right to sell the home and bring in prospective buyers with 24-hour advance notice. So, bottom line, don't be afraid to sell with your tenants in place. Just follow this advice here and you can successfully sell. Okay? You may even have the opportunity to sell to your existing tenants. One of my most recent sales was to an existing tenant. It was a super smooth sale and everybody was happy. So, overall, it's an excellent time right now to sell in San Diego. Inventory is low, interest rates are still low, and buyers are out there and plentiful. All right, thanks for listening.